not going to give you too much information about what we'll be talking about. I like to surprise you a little bit here, Jack. Don't worry. This isn't going to be one of those gotcha moments.
Keep me on my toes. I like it, mate. I like it.
That's it. Can't have you superstars getting too comfy, mate. You know what I mean?
I won't go that far, mate. See, this is what you're doing. You're lulling me into a false sense of security, calling me polite words like superstar, and then all of a sudden, bang, I'm going to be cancelled.
I'll bring you back down to earth with the Toyota Yaris talk, Jack. Don't worry. We'll get you there.
Cool.
What's up, everybody? Delighted to say I am joined by the legend that is JAACKMAATE. Jack, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you, mate. I'm a little bit annoyed already, though, because just before we started, you referred to me as a superstar, and now we're live. You just say, oh, what did you call me? Saying it wasn't superstar. I know that. So do you want to redo that? Call me superstar again? Or?
Yeah, no worries. Ladies and gentlemen, delighted to say I'm joined by the BTEC YouTuber that drives a 2002 Toyota Yaris. JAACKMAATE. Jack, how are you, sir?
Yeah, see you later. I'm done. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good, thank you. I've just got the headphones out because this is the thing. I like to pretend that I'm a professional YouTuber. I actually don't really know what I'm doing, but no, I'm good, mate. I'm good, Craig. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, mate, look, it's been a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I wanted to start out with something, though. I know that you live in an area that has terrible internet, and I just want to say, buddy, I sympathise. 7 years I lived in a house where I was basically on dial-up, and it is... I mean, you're talking about moving soon, which is brilliant, but I guarantee you that the internet part is going to be one of the biggest parts of it all for you.
100%, mate. 100%. I mean, I live in Norwich, and I think we only just discovered the internet about 10 years ago, so we're kind of playing catch up with the rest of the world. But yeah, I'm glad that this seems to be working because I can't even really do podcasts from home. Like during lockdown, every sort of podcast under the sun has resorted to Zoom. I can't even really do that because the delay is too bad, but we'll get through it. One
of my favourite things actually about the lockdown, and there aren't many to be honest, but one of my favourite things has been that seeing Sky and all these other multi-billion-pound corporations turn into BTEC YouTubers.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? It's mad. I mean, I wish I had shares in like Zoom and stuff before lockdown because they're probably through the roof right now. But yeah, unreal. What do you think of it? Because obviously it'd be nice to do these kind of stuff like in person and whatnot. But what do you think of doing stuff like this online, like Zoom and that?
Yeah, for me living over in Ireland, it's usually the way I do things, to be honest. I'm full on TGS, which I like to call Team Green Screen, all the way for stuff like this. But yeah, it is much easier when you're in person because you can read body language. And if you want to tell your partner to shut the fuck up or something, you know, you can give them the little wink or the nod to say, right, mate, my turn. It's a bit harder to do that when you're over a Zoom call. How have you found it?
Yeah, difficult. Like I just said, I don't really, not that I don't like doing stuff like this, but I don't like doing my podcast on Zoom because I like to be quick. I hope I'm kind of quick with like my reactions and whatnot. I like to jump on things and make jokes. And I just find like during the first lockdown when I did my podcast on Zoom, because of the delay, you'd make a joke and then like no one would talk for a couple of seconds. And that couple of seconds would be like the most awkward 2 seconds of your life. Like it just seems like every joke you've made is just absolutely bombed, which in my case is quite common. But it's just, it's a weird one, mate.
I have a bone to pick with you, I have to say. I had a mankini shoot booked for Dubai. I had everything planned out, mate. I had it all good to go. The yacht was ready, the helicopter. You know the way you see these videos of Instagram models and they're sitting there in their bikini with their Gucci stuff and they have a slice of pizza and everyone says, there's no way she's eating that pizza. Well, I had it ready. I had the mankini shoot ready. I had a salad in my left hand ready to go. Full on people are going to say, there's no way he's eating that. And you ruined it, Jack. You ruined it.
Well, I think I've done the internet a favour, Craig, because I know we don't know each other that well, but I mean, I can't imagine there's a lot of people that want to see you in a mankini.
You don't know my OnlyFans, mate. You've no idea. Seriously, my bathwater goes for serious money, mate.
Does it really?
No,
I've got Bell Things. I've got a water sitting in that cupboard right now. Yeah, weird.
I wanted to talk to you about a lot of different things. And I wanted to get your take on the story about #United and how well it's grown from what it is to, I think it's fair to say it's almost a behemoth, and documentary coming out as well. Great to see. I've seen the clips from it. It looked really exciting.
Oh, mate, yeah. They've absolutely smashed it. Like, this is the thing. You can kind of apply this to most things in life, but people can sit there at home and have their opinions on whether they agree that or they are a proper team, or they not a proper team. But regardless of what people may think, what they don't see are the hours, the weeks, the months, the years that people have put into making that a thing, whatever that may be, whether that's a YouTube channel, whether it's a football team or whatnot. But Spencer has been building this for years. So when they say, like, when you get teams that have like just come and just been bought out by these sort of like billionaire tycoons, like nobody questions how those billionaires got their money. Like nobody questions that. But when some YouTuber makes money just through a passion that he's done for his whole life and builds it up sort of naturally or organically, I should say, then who are people to call out some young lad who's following a dream, like when they're happy for their teams to be brought out by millionaires? I know that's a different thing, but that's just something that I've been thinking about recently anyway. What do you think of hashtag, mate?
I think it's brilliant. I really do love everything about it. I love the community feel. I think the name is genius, if I'm being honest with you. I know some people are divided on it. And I know that they had a bit of a fight to get that name, didn't they? They had to fight to be able to register the name #United.
Yeah, I think so. I know Spencer was saying, so, well, people just get annoyed that it's not a place name. So it's not a location. It's not a physical location. But there's so many different... if you look into it, there's so many teams that are like that. I think Metropolitan Police is a team in one of the sort of conference leagues and whatnot. And I'm not going to sit here and claim to be as clued up on kind of like non-league football as your next man like Spencer and whatnot. But yeah, I personally absolutely love what they're doing. But I think that's because I've been a YouTuber for many, many years. YouTube's my passion, and I love to see YouTube kind of break down the sort of foundations of what we know. So yeah, fair play to them lads.
You did ask me earlier on actually how I found it during lockdown with regards to doing this. One of the things that I've actually found that people have underestimated is the importance of what YouTubers have done, particularly YouTubers that do live interactive content, or like yourself who's been active on social media. Sometimes there are people out there who, you know, may not have experienced the anxiety and stuff they're feeling right now in lockdown, and feeling these feelings that maybe they've never felt before, and that could be their only interaction in the day. So I think a lot of credit deserves to go out to a lot of YouTubers for, I won't say a public service, but certainly for making sure that they're out there interacting with people on a daily basis.
No, yeah, you're bang on. I mean, entertainment's entertainment, isn't it? We'll always need it, and we always have needed it, and we need it more now than we ever have before. I think it's... I'm not always somebody that's given influencers and YouTubers the most credit, because I think having met a lot of them seem to have an inflated sort of sense of their own importance, if that makes sense. But you credit where it's due. There are a lot of them, especially now, like doing some brilliant things. And obviously at the time of recording, like, just got the news on my phone about 15 minutes ago that Captain Tom obviously passed away, 100 years old. And that's the true sense of what an influencer should be, like the influence that he's had on the world. So I think when we think influencer, we do sort of attach that word to kind of like these Dubai, like these people that go to Dubai, and we were making a joke about it a minute ago, and these Instagram models, and so that's not really what an influencer is, I don't think. So I think we kind of need to sort of like relay the boundaries of what an influencer. You know what I'm trying to say there, like?
Yeah, no, there are a lot of people that can do a lot of positive, like Mr. Beast, perfect example, legend, absolute legend. Did you hear even actually he opened up Beast Burgers, you know, but how they went about picking their locations was just pure genius. He just looked to see where most of his subscribers were and opened up in those locations.
Really? Yeah, he is so smart. That man is so smart. I mean, he was born to be a YouTuber. There's no one that sort of personifies what a YouTuber is more than Mr. Beast. Absolute
legend. I want to move on towards sport, but I'm gonna angle it in a different direction. So I'd love to see that you've gotten into the darts recently, mate. I've absolutely loved to see that you're all over the World Championships, and I think we need to start pressurising Eddie Hearn. Never mind the PDC, we need the YDC, we need the YouTuber Darts Corporation. So I want to know, first of all, what would be your nickname, Jack, if you were to go out and throw a set of arrows? What do you think your nickname would be?
It's a good question, but I've got my answer straight away, right off the barrel. I should pun. There you go. My darts nickname would be, so it would be, I'd have Jack at the top, mate at the bottom, and then in the middle, my nickname would be Not Your. So it's Jack, Not Your Mate. Little bit edgy there, a little bit confrontational. Like, I'd be a bit like a Gezzy Price on stage. I'd be the pantomime villain. I'm not your mate. I'm here to win darts. Winter.
Step aside, Phil Taylor. I'm here and I'm ready to go. By the way, what a story that was for Gervais Price. I mean, stuff of dreams. Did you see the video actually when he went back to his hometown? He gets out of the Range Rover. The World Championship trophy just fucked on the back seat of the car. I guarantee you the old deck wasn't thrown on the back seat, though. That was both safe away.
Yeah, no, the thing is, mate, like I know I know a couple of people that know a lot of darts players that work in that space, and they all vouch for Gervais Price. They say like he might come across as a bit of a pantomime villain on the stage and whatnot, which I think is a good thing. Ultimately, I think that's getting people into darts. It makes me want to watch. But they say behind the scenes and stuff, he's an absolute top man. So yeah, fair play to him. Can't take anything away from him.
Yeah, we work with Boyle Sports, who sponsor our channel, and they host a couple of darts events, and they said the exact same thing. He's a family man through and through. But to go from the mentality, he's a winner, Jack, because he's gone from being a rugby league player to going and then becoming the world's #1 darts player. I mean, come on, mate, that takes something special.
I know, mate, and it's not even like those two things have transferable skills. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's gone from rugby to do something else that's like that way inclined sort of thing. It's two completely different things. So he just seems like somebody like you love to watch it, but you also hate him because I don't have an ounce of that kind of talent. So fair play to him. I mean, who's your favourite darts player, Craig?
I have to say, I'm a little bit torn on this one because I like Dimitri Van den Berg because I like to see the youngsters coming through, but I also like Gary Anderson because he's a bit cranky, and I'm a bit cranky myself. So, and he had that little rivalry with Gervais Price as well. But from yourself, who would you like to watch outside of Pricey?
I like Chizzy. I think I like watching Chizzy. Van den Berg. I love his dancing, love his walkout. But I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Duzzer. He obviously was big in the BDO and transitioned over a couple of years ago, and I think he was the guy that had the walkout. Robbie Williams, Angels, and through it. Oh, and I was like, that is class from you, Duzzer. So I judge people based on their walkout music. He's changed it now, but Duzzer's up there for me.
There is some dodgy walkout music, though. There really is some dodgy stuff. Actually, speaking about Chizzy, unfortunately, his mum passed away today. So, what we send our best wishes to Dave Chisnell and his family. I just spotted it before we came on. It's been one of those days, hasn't it? Unfortunately, with a couple more people passing away. But yeah, hopefully 2021's a better year for us all. But speaking of us beating West Ham 3-1, Jack, how did you find that? See the way I transitioned seamlessly into that?
That's what I say. You lull me into a false sense of security. Do you know what I mean? You give me a positive note about 2021 being a better year, fill me with optimism, and then suddenly, bang! Liverpool absolutely smashed you, and they did. To be fair, I mean, usually, Craig, Liverpool beating West Ham, that's like a given. That's inevitable, and it's like water off of a duck's back. I'm not fussed, but it kind of hurt a bit more on Sunday because. One, we've been in the form of a life. I've not seen a West Ham squad this kind of like balanced in my lifetime. I don't think Liverpool absolutely plagued with injuries, as you know more than most. And then Mane, am I right? I think Mane didn't play, did he? Like you were without so many top players. You had that what's his name? So I don't know much about Liverpool, but you had that young lad Nat at the back, centre back. Yeah, you had him. So I didn't know much about him. We played against West Ham earlier in the season, played all right. But so I was full of optimism going into this. And you've been on, let's face it, you've been on not the greatest form, struggling for goals and whatnot. So I know you beat Tottenham, but anyone can beat them, can't they? And then, you just absolutely sort of killed us, really. I don't think we were at our best, but the sort of counter-attacking goal, that ball from Shaqiri, that takedown from Salah, and it was painful to watch. And if you can beat West Ham how we are now, then that just shows your quality. It's not like you've just gone out and beat a normal West Ham team. You've gone out. Obviously, I'll watch West Ham every fucking chance to get. But you've beat the best West Ham team in a long time at the peak of their form. So that shows the true golfing quality between the two teams there.
I think it's only right, though, when we take a second to give David Moyes tremendous credit, because it's fair to say when he came back to West Ham, mixed reaction. A lot of people thinking it was the wrong choice. Some people thought, okay, maybe he'll steady the ship. But to go on, I think 6 wins on the bounce, to to get the best of the players. Like I think Bowen and Souček have been fantastic for you guys this
Mhm.
season, and then you've got Mikel Antonio, who could play any position on the pitch. He's that damn good. I mean, for you, who've been the standout players or the breakthrough players in the West Ham squad this season?
The breakthrough players would 100% be Souček. Souček is one of the best sort of holding midfielders I've ever seen at West Ham. Like I know we've had Rice. Like Rice, kind of like whenever I talk about my favourite players, the best players, I always leave Rice out just because it's too obvious. Do you know what I mean? It's like asking Liverpool to name their best players, and you kind of skirt around Salah because it's just it's too obvious. So Souček's been phenomenal. I mean, I think that a lot of people sleep on Ogbonna. I don't think that he gets a lot of a credit that he deserves. I think he is genuinely one of the best centre backs in the league. Craig Dawson. Can we just talk about Craig Dawson for a second? Craig Dawson is like the outfield version of what David Moyes is. So when we got both of those, they were like laughed at almost. Like I'll be the first to say I didn't want either of them. I thought it was weird moves. It didn't make sense. We obviously know what Moyes has done, so we can park that aside. But Craig Dawson, he's come up from, where was he? Watford, wasn't he? He's come from Watford, and he couldn't get in the team for love nor money. And then I'll tell you, I did a little job at West Ham back in December, and I went in the changing rooms and I see Dawson's name above where he sits. And it took me a couple of seconds to work out who it was. I was like, who's Dawson? I can't remember. And then all of a sudden, bang, he's in the team, gets man of the match, his first match, which I think was against Southampton or Everton or someone. And then he scored 2 league goals, one in the FA Cup from centre half, and he's getting on a bit. He's not a spring chicken. So yeah, Craig Dawson, what a weird one that is.
Do you miss Upton Park? Do you miss not being able to go back to, because Upton Park to me was one of the last proper old school football stadiums where the crowd was right in on top of the pitch. And look, as magnificent as the London Stadium is as a facility, it just doesn't have the same intimidating factor as Upton Park to me.
Upton Park, you can ask any West Ham fan, it holds a special place in my heart, and the memories that I have from going there as a kid. And my first game was under the lights in an FA Cup 5th round replay against Bolton, and we won in extra time. Like, there's so many magical moments, and I was listening to a podcast that my friend Russ does. He had Julian Dix on. And Dix was talking about like how it was the Dix went to Liverpool. I don't for a couple of games. I think he was only there a couple of months, and he said that he had to play against West Ham in that time, and it was intimidating even going back there. So I think that's the biggest praise you can give as well, especially as a Liverpool fan. Saying about you hear these ex-players say how intimidating it is to come to, or it was to go to Upton Park. Obviously, we lost a bit of that when we moved to London Stadium. There was a lot of criticism, rightly or wrongly, around the ground. But Craig, to tell you the truth, mate, a place really becomes a home when you fill it with memories. And I think if we keep playing like how we are playing, then that London I don't think it'll ever truly be Upton Park, but I'm sure it can start to. It is already starting to feel a little bit more like home. So yeah, I think change is always kind of scrutinised and put under the microscope, but I think over the last few seasons we've seen it become a little bit more like home. But yeah, to answer your question, mate, Upton Park, absolute gutted that's not there anymore. And the thing is, it's flats now, isn't it? So like when you walk past it and that, it's not like you can even kind of picture it or remember it. It's just flat. So yeah, true shame, really.
I have to say, I did get a bit of a chuckle when Leyton Orient were trying to fight for that London City Stadium to think that they were going to be selling it out and justified it. Like, I mean, I thought that was hilarious. We're the closest, therefore surely we get it.
Yeah, that was Barry Hearn, wasn't it? I think trying to put that in. Yeah. I mean, you've got to love the Hearns, right? They really do just push the luck, don't they? But yeah, no, it's. I'll take the London Stadium, mate. It is starting to feel like home, I'll be honest.
I have a couple more things before I want to get you onto your podcast and what's coming up there and who you've spoken to. But I want to get your take on the old YouTube boxing, and in particular, Mr. Jake Paul calling out Mr. McGregor. I mean, come on, mate. If ever there was, levels to this game, just stay away. I think he's fighting Dylan Dennis, from what if I'm correct on that one. Oh, no, he's not. Yeah. He's fighting Ben Askren, isn't he? Ben Askren.
Ben Askren, yeah, from the UFC, yeah.
And Snoop Dogg's promoting it as well. I mean, they're all getting in on the act.
And they're quite right to, because there's money there. So where there's money, like, that, people are going to want to be involved. And what we saw from the first few fights, KSI versus Logan Paul, no, they weren't the true first fights, but they were the ones that really elevated it to the next level. What we saw there was we had some proper brilliant character arcs. So whether or not you like YouTube or not, KSI is like this beacon of light in the YouTube UK community, and Logan Paul was this guy that had been under just so much controversy with the thing in the Japanese forest that we all know about, and you kind of, that was like his moment to kind of like overcome that and become this kind of man that we see today. So boxing, no matter what level of boxing we're talking about, it needs a story. It needs people to get invested in that, in the fight itself. It's just as important what happens on the build up than what happens on the night, I guess. And you had all of that in that first fight, and it was great drama. Not the best skill quality, if you know what I mean. Not the best level, but it was great drama, and I think they did themselves proud. What you're getting now with Jake Paul, he's somebody that wants a slice of that pie. He wants to be the highest paid boxer or whatever his claim. He claimed, because he does claim a lot of shit, doesn't he, Jake? So what we're getting now is not so much a drama, not so much anything that we're really buying into. I think we're just seeing the public just want him to get one big fight. I don't know about, I can't speak for the public, but I'm speaking about me. I want him to get one big fight so he can get his paycheck, he can get his money, do whatever. But I want him to get humbled, and I want him to get knocked out early doors, just so we don't have to see this guy skipping on Instagram telling us how he's going to be the next Floyd Mayweather or whatever. You're Jake Paul. Stay in your lane, mate. It's boring. It's boring. Are you as invested in a Jake Paul fight as you were the KSI Logan one?
Not at all. And I'm a huge boxing fan. I've been my entire life, and I was glad to see new eyes brought to the sport. And we know that Eddie Hearn can smell a pound note better than anybody else, and he jumped on there. He recognized the value of it, and I was invested in both the JJ and the Logan Paul fight, both of them. And I think firstly JJ was robbed in the first one. He won convincingly in the second one, but then to find out that Logan Paul is fighting Floyd Mayweather and poor old KSI sitting there without that payday, I'm absolutely baffled by that one as well. I mean, whoever's representing the Paul brothers, I mean, they're earning their money. They're doing well. They're getting them big paydays for, that should have been KSI's fight, surely. If he wanted it, I don't know if he did or not, but
I'd be surprised if KSI wanted to fight Jake Paul now, because Jake Paul needs it far more than JJ needs it. And I don't know what you think, Craig. You said you're a big boxing fan, so you're more educated and more qualified to give your opinion on this than I am. But Jake Paul looks quite good, doesn't he?
I'll tell you what, I'll backtrack a little bit. Let me talk about Logan Paul first and KSI. Logan Paul, I think that fight was a cruiserweight, if my memory serves me correct, around 14 and a half stone. JJ to me looks like he probably walks around the 10 and a half, 11 stone normally if he's fit, maybe 11 and a half stone. Logan Paul was afraid to let his hands go for the sheer size difference between the two of them. You were at the fight. You would have seen the second fight, and you would have seen the sheer physicality that Logan, brought into the ring. I thought, God, if he connects here, JJ's in trouble. But JJ showed absolute heart and just got on with it. Jake Paul, to me, he looks like a more natural boxer than his brother. I will say that, yes. But to be calling it, he's fought an NBA fighter and a YouTuber. Or an NBA player and a YouTuber. He hasn't fought a boxer yet. So Ben Askren will be interested. I will. You know what? As much as I'm sitting here slating it, I probably will watch it because, as you've said, we're all hoping he gets sparked out.
Yeah. No, you are right. I guess it's a bit. I mean, I love to hate it, and as much as I say, to be fair, I'm not as invested, of course, as the previous fights, but I will watch it, and ultimately, I'm probably part of the problem there. If you consider it to be a problem, I'm not sure, but yeah, from what I've seen from Jake, he does seem decent. I was lucky enough to be at the Anderson Gibb Jake Paul fight as well, in January of last year, in which Jake kind of just dispatched him early doors. But like you said, he hasn't really fought anyone with pedigree yet. Not that KSI and Logan weren't necessarily the best of them back then, but yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. Do you think if Jake gets humbled by Ben. Well, first of all, how about this, Craig? How about this? What do you think the outcome will be of that fight?
Oh, I think Ben Askren will stop him. I'm
You do,
almost
yeah?
convinced of it. I'm almost convinced of it. I mean, yes, your boxing skills from UFC don't necessarily translate over. I think that a big difference here is the gloves. What ounce gloves we're talking about, because these UFC guys, they used to fight with basically mitts on, and everyone will remember Ben Askren obviously for the Masvidal knee that absolutely just knocked him out. But I
Yeah.
mean, he's fought his entire life, and he's not going to take a step backwards. And I will, if Jake Paul comes out of this with a W, credit where it's due. But as soon as he steps in there with a real boxer, even a mid-level boxer, I think he'll be put to sleep. I'll tell you what, though, what would happen? I would have gotten the kiss from Greg Paul. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, mate. It would have happened.
Well, that's debatable. That's yet to be seen.
I get the kiss. Someday, me and you will double team him. Someday we'll get the kiss. He did not look a happy man. I mean, I was getting a lot of Louis C.K. vibes off him as well. I have to say, he looked a bit Louis C.K.-ish. Yeah, I was thinking of him. Got Louis C.K. that is there, because I was only getting into it around that point, Jack. I'm not going to lie to you. I was only getting into this whole YouTuber thing, and I was following your video. Was brilliant, by the way, of the whole trip over and getting the flyers printed up and then handing them out. It was absolutely quality, and then a music video at the end. I mean, that had me, mate. I'm not going to lie. I was hoping there was a happy ending, and not in the other happy ending sense of the word. But I was hoping that we were going to get that magical moment. And was it as tense when you were in front of him as it seemed to be?
Yeah, well, yeah. This is the thing. So all the YouTubers were up on the balcony, as you see in the video, and first of all I spoke to Pam, which is Jake and Logan's mum, and she was absolutely lovely. Eddie Hearn introduced me. He was like, Pam's there, go speak to her. So I was a bit nervous because I was like, well, I've got to go up to this woman. She's never met me before. I've got to hand her a flyer that I've photoshopped me and her ex-husband on and say, can I kiss your ex-husband? And she was like, yeah, he'll totally get it. I was thinking, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he will. So when I've seen him at the end, I think it was Mini Mint that come up to me and was like, Greg Paul's here, Greg Paul's here. So it was like all these whispers. And then I've seen him at the end, and I thought, like, I was intimidated. Like, I was a little bit nervous, I can't lie. But that was like the pinnacle of the video. I was like, I need to speak to this guy. And I said this to someone else the other day. Can't remember who, but it was a lot easier for me to do because at school I was a bit of a class clown. You can probably... I was a bit of a prick, really, right? But because I knew I was doing this in kind of like in the name of comedy, like let's not forget Greg Paul has come under, like, he's done a lot of weird stuff. I'm not just going up to a man and just asking to kiss him. He's done a lot of weird stuff that you can quite rightly kind of question. So going back to the whole school class clown thing, all the YouTubers are watching. On one hand, it's like, I can't bottle this because they're watching me. I'm this fucking loudmouth guy online, so I can't bottle it now. And also, I kind of resigned to the fact that he probably could hit me. And I was thinking more of the content than a black eye. I would have 100% taken a black eye, taken a punch to the jaw like that. Imagine that for the thumbnail. I was almost kind of wishing he had, but instead he was a little bit weird about it, which kind of added to the narrative. So it worked out perfectly for me. But here's the thing, right? So I took my friend Alfie Inja and Fiona, and they were both filming. And Fiona, bless her heart, she was really sort of under the weather at this point, and she wasn't feeling well. And Greg Paul's turned to both of them and gone, put those cameras down, put those cameras down. And Alfie just put the camera down like that, and Fiona just kept filming. So I ended up getting the content from Fiona. So I was giving Alfie stick all the way home that he was the one that bottled it when Fiona didn't. So fair play, Fiona.
Well, mate, look, I've learned many times in life that my missus is far stronger than I am, far more has far more bottle than I'll ever have. So yeah, exactly, you know, but in fairness to my missus, she does know when she's got one card left in Uno that you need to shout Uno. So there are levels.
You've done your research here, Craig. You've done more research for this than I have when I do happy hour, mate.
You know, I don't want to say I'm like you in that sense, but I just like to live things in the moment. I have a couple of things when I'm interviewing somebody that I want to ask, but it's generally, I think the best interviews are just when you get a vibe and you just try and keep chatting and see where it goes. I think they usually work out the best, and that leads us into the happy hour. podcast. And look, I've seen a video of you talking about the moment where you got to the media day where you got to talk to Ricky Gervais for the first time. And maybe if you could just take a second just to let our viewers know what that day was like, because I mean, I've been lucky enough to meet my hero, and my hero is Graham Hunter, who's a broadcast journalist for Spanish football and stuff. And again, I was lucky that when I met him, he was an absolute gent and someone that I'm now proud to call a friend. So for you to get that option, that one chance to meet Ricky, just let the guys know what it was like.
Yeah, he's been my comedy hero for a number of years, and he followed me on Twitter. Long story short, he followed me on Twitter years ago. I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to just jump in straight away with wanting to do something. But anyway, fast forward 4 or 5 years, I was kind of interviewing people at the time, not on a podcast, but I had a series called Jack's Chat, and I wanted to get him on. And they say never meet your heroes, but I met mine, and he was a fucking legend. So I don't know if I'm supposed to swear on here, but
swear away, man, swear away.
And he was an absolute legend. So he was promoting David Brent Life on the Road, the film that they brought out a few years ago. And I got in touch with his agent and was like, can I come to the press conference? I've done a few before. I was lucky enough to have done Mark Wahlberg and a couple of other people, Amanda Seyfried and a few others before. So I kind of sent that over as a case study, because this is the thing in this game. Once you get 1 or 2 big names, you can kind of just use that to try and get other ones in. So I sent that to Ricky's team, and then they come back a day later and they were like, sorry, we've just filled the last space. There's no time. So I was gutted. I thought that's probably my chance then. I'll have to leave that now. And then late the next day, I was kind of like, right, I'm going to be a bit cheeky and I'm going to DM him. I thought like he's a Hollywood superstar sort of thing. He's not going to care. But so I DM'd him and I said, I wanted to come to the press junket tomorrow, but you're all full. And he just replied back straight away saying, who said there's no time? And I was like, oh, I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I was like, oh, just the production company said there's no time. He said, come at the end of the day, bring your own camera crew. And luckily enough, my friend Tom owned a production company at the time. He said, come at the end of the day. And this is the thing on press junkets. I don't know if many people out there know this, but you get 5 minutes. So when I did Mark Wahlberg, you get 6 minutes in total. You have 30 seconds to introduce yourself, 5 minutes for the interview, 30 seconds to say your goodbyes and collect your footage. I came at the end of the day. He's come walking in the room, and I went, "Oh, Ricky, lovely to meet you. How long have you got?" And he went, how long will it take?" And I was just like, "Oh, I'm not too sure." He's like, "However long you need." And he just sat on the sofa, just did this interview. And I think we spoke for about half an hour. And he was just an absolute delight. And it shook all of the camera guys' hands, like polite to everyone. And since then, like you just said, I'm lucky enough that I'd call him a friend. He invited me on his radio show he did called Ricky Gervais' Deadly Serious, which was a great opportunity. He's been on my podcast a couple of times since then. And and then the last time he invited me on his show, I found out what his favourite wine was, bought him a lovely, nice bottle of wine online, which is a hard thing to do, by the way, because when you're chatting,
I'm guessing it wasn't Jacob's Creek, by the way.
It was. I imagine. Well, this is the thing, Craig. So, like, I haven't really spoke about this, but like, Ricky Gervais is worth what? However many hundreds of millions of pounds. And I'm not worth that, but I also don't want to give him a shit bottle of wine. So I didn't know what value of wine do you give. But anyway, I contacted Jane, who's his long-suffering partner, and sent a bottle of wine to them with a little note in it, and just said thanks for all the help in my career and all the comedy advice he's given me over the years. Because I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for him giving me that opportunity. Because not only was it my best interview I've ever done, but to have a name like that sat on a sofa next to me kind of elevated my kind of like sense of importance, if that makes sense, like amongst how other people could sort of see you, if that makes sense. So for me, it didn't really change much, but I imagine that when people are looking at your channel and seeing who you mix with, it really helped me go on to then get other people. I imagine the likes of Jack Whitehall could have seen that, and that's why he came on the show and whatnot. So I don't think Ricky truly realizes how much he's helped my career, which because he's just a lovely, humble guy who wouldn't have given it a second thought. But yeah, that's the story in a nutshell. I've probably gone on a bit longer than you'd have hoped, but there we are.
And immediately when you were talking about buying the bottle of wine from it, my mind immediately went to Curb Your Enthusiasm when Larry David's in the restaurant with Jeff. and Ricky Gervais is sitting across, and he wants to send Ricky over a bottle of wine. He orders the most expensive one on the menu. That's exactly where my mind went on that one.
My life is a sitcom sometimes, mate. Some of the stuff that happens, yeah, it's literally like a sitcom.
You've mentioned that you've had a couple of different podcasts. I want to give a bit of an inspirational moment here to people, because there are a lot of people out there who may not succeed with show 1, show 2, show 3, whatever it might be. And I think you're a great example of perseverance, believing in yourself, and just knowing that this is what you want to do. So was there any moments for you where you nearly threw the towel in, where you nearly quit?
Oh, 100%, mate. I've been doing YouTube so long. So like, I can't claim that I'm the best YouTuber, the smartest YouTuber, the most popular YouTuber, any of that. But what I can claim is that I especially back in the day, I tried harder than the majority out there. And this is the thing. I had so many different failed series, and I tweeted this a couple of months ago. I said, Happy Hour is my most successful project because all the other ones failed. And someone replied going, no, they didn't fail. That's what you use to mold into or to hone your skills, and that gave me the platform to have what I have today. So that was a lovely way of thinking it. And another thing, what we were talking about, going back to the hashtag thing and about all the hours that people don't see that you put in, a lot of people give me shit online now, and I put about how I was struggling in lockdown the other day, and some idiot was like, oh, if you have money, you can't struggle. Well, this is the thing. Like, I may have a Spotify deal now, which I'm incredibly thankful and grateful for. But nobody sees the 8 years that I was doing YouTube before I earned a single penny. I think I was doing YouTube before you could even monetize your content. So that's the, whenever I'm feeling down or I'm feeling like I've not got to the level where I need to be, I think about why I started, and the financial reasons was never an incentive for me, because it wasn't possible at the time. So to anyone out there who's starting, like, a little tip that I would give is only truly start if you have the purest intentions, because if you start because you want to make a quick buck and then duck out, you're very rarely going to succeed, because unless you reap those rewards straight away, you're not kind of like feeling accomplished or anything, because you're not £1 million in the first week or whatever. So I would, if I'd have started this game for financial reasons, I wouldn't still be doing it now. I'm doing it because I love it, because it's my passion, and I would never want to do anything else. I've probably gone a bit off piece there, mate, but
no, it shines through in everything that you do. And like, I'm at this 3 years now. I'm not full time at it yet, but like you said, I've tried to just concentrate on having fun. Yeah, there's some silly moments, you make mistakes along the way, but you live up to them and you own them. And you get people who are in it for a quick buck, but then you also get people like yourself, Mark Goldbridge, who have been in this for a very long time and deserve every cent that they get. Speaking of Mark Goldbridge, you had him on the podcast, as you can see. I mean, I look quite good in a big chair, Jack. I'm just saying. Do you know what I mean? You can see behind me. It's there. But Mark, what a character. Before we finish up, he's somebody that's been very good to me. He's been a bit of a mentor to me on here. Obviously, we know his real name is Brent Cesar, but we all call him Mark because that's a lovable name. He is just... He's a British icon, mate, at this stage, isn't he? He just is a whole another different level.
He is 100% one of the soundest blokes that I've met through. Like, we've had hundreds of people walk through those happy hour doors, and there's to be fair, most of them are fine. 99% of the people that come in are fine, but you can tell the genuine ones from the ones who aren't. And this is not me taking shots at any big time YouTubers. They've all given up their time to come on my show, and I appreciate it. But what I will say is, a lot of YouTubers, the big ones that come on, probably made a lot of money from an early age. And it probably sounds a bit silly, but they're kind of the Justin Biebers of the world. Like, they've only ever known that. They've only ever known riches and people loving you. Whereas Mark or Brent, as we now know, he probably hasn't always had that. He's worked normal careers. He was a police officer. He's got a family. He's like, and I like that in somebody, because we see ourselves in these people. The normal, hardworking people. I can imagine if Goldbridge earned millions and millions and millions and millions and became super, super famous, he would still be the same person. And that's what I love to see. And to tie this up nicely, I think it's kind of like Ricky Gervais. He was 41 before the Office ever got popular. So Yeah, so Mark, I cannot say enough nice things about. He just came across as a super genuine, super lovely guy, and not to overshare anything, but like he sent me a WhatsApp message on Friday and was like, "Oh, Jack, I got this brand deal. I think you'd be really good for it. Do you want me to pass your number on?" It's like, you don't have to do that. Like, you're just somebody that I've met once, but for some reason there's some money there, and he's gone, "Oh, Jack will be good for that." So he's passed it on, and I've now got a job because of him. So it's like top man, and just a genuine guy. What you see is what you get. And I also don't think he realizes how funny he is, by the way. Do you know what I mean?
He's a tremendously humble person. I speak to him a couple of times a week usually, and he's been like a mentor to me. We can push aside the rivalry between the clubs, and he's given me a lot of great advice, because who wouldn't want to learn from the path that he's forged? True, we've seen True Geordie do his thing, but Mark has really pioneered the green screen side of football fan content and done it in his own brilliant, unique way. And I'm so happy to see him do well. I know you guys are about to get back into the studio. What's coming up this season on the happy hour? I know you probably don't want to give away too many guests, but anything exciting that you can give us a sneak preview of?
To be completely honest, we've got a few names floating around of people we want to get in, and I think due back in a couple of weeks now with our boss man has kind of worked out how to do it safely, and because this is the thing, Craig, we could have stayed open. Legally we could have stayed open because production can still happen, but we just didn't want to take that risk. I mean, the COVID rates were through the roof. It's not only myself and Stevie we have to worry about. It's my partner Fiona. It's our lovely producer Katie and stuff like that. We did so anyway. So are we going to come back with the biggest names ever? Probably not. But are we going to come back with the same kind of stuff? Yes. And I think in a lockdown, people crave this kind of content, as you were quite rightly saying at the start. So to tell you the truth, Craig, we start in 2 weeks and I've not booked anyone, but I'm so confident in the content and the show and the fan base that we're lucky enough to have, that I can sit here and promise that it's going to be the exact same show that it was just before. And we're going to carry on just where we left off. And we're only kind of just scraping the surface of what we can do with that show. So I'm excited, mate. I'm excited.
We're all very much looking forward to it. Look, you've spoke about idols and icons, and I just want you to know that to many of us out there, you are that level, sir. You are somebody who doesn't forget where you came from. You are somebody who always reaches out and comes on to small little shows like ours. And we wish you every success going forward, buddy, because you deserve it. Your podcast is absolutely amazing. When you signed that Spotify deal, we were all praying for a 2011 Yaris, 2012 Yaris, something like that. But, you know, we'll get you there someday. Maybe a bit of a GoFundMe, something like that. We'll get you a decent car, buddy. But look, nothing but love. Jack, mate, it has been a pleasure to chat to you, sir. I know we were supposed to record this the other day. My computer shit to bed. You were kind enough to come back on. Have a great new season. Hopefully we'll chat again down the line at some point as well. Next time we beat West Ham, perhaps, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me on. Absolute pleasure. And you talk about the kind of like the size of the show and whatnot. Well, I mean, it's an absolute honor how you just described me there, and this is why I love doing any shows, regardless of the size. It's all about the person, and you've got the character, and you're a funny guy on Twitter and whatnot. So don't worry about the size of the show, mate. Because when I first did that thing, Ricky Gervais, the size of my show was non-existent. It was one of the first steps I'd done. So keep plodding along, keep smashing it. And this is the thing as well. Lockdown has showed people, I think, that it's not about the numbers, it's about the quality. And as long as you keep posting the quality, people will come. So keep it up, mate. An absolute pleasure to be on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, JAACKMAATE of the Happy Hour podcast, thank you very much for coming on, and we will hopefully chat soon, my friend.
Up the irons.